Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Just a joy to be with you here this morning. I always want to remind you that the most precious energy you have is the God Spirit that is within you. We are immersed in it. May you just open yourself up today, receive that energy, and then express it. A few things just before we begin today. First of all, looking ahead to next year, we're going to be resuming our Now Creation Summer Picnic. It'll be on Saturday, August the 24th, 1924. It'll be a little south of Akron at Coventry Oaks Metro Park, where we had it a few years ago. Please keep that date in mind. We'll send you a little notice shortly to reserve that date. Also, I want to invite you this evening to our What is Light Body from 6 to 7:30. It's a wonderful, wonderful book study. I invite you to join us 6 to 7:30. And then also on Thanksgiving, just a reminder, we'll be having our Thanksgiving Day service from 10 to 11. And then afterwards, from 7 to 8, we'll be having our Thanksgiving meditation. Let's begin. My dear friends, the energy of our past several months of teachings has not been unnoticed. It is a great joy to see so many of you on the upward spiral of your irreversible spirituality. It's wonderful to see your personal spiritual progress, and just as wonderful to see how you are becoming way showers to others, just by being yourself, just by showing up as you, just bringing your conscious spiritual presence into their lives, into the situations in which you are engaged. It is the continuation of this upward spiral that I want to focus in on in today's teaching entitled, Where It's Hidden. Where It's Hidden. I will begin with a wonderful Sufi story, briefly then address the history of the word stress and its antidote, and then focus on the three practical teachings that continue to lead us on that upward spiral of irreversible spirituality. First, the Sufi teaching. Just a brief word on the notion of Sufism. Sufism is the esoteric, mystical aspect of Islam, just as the Kabbalah is the esoteric, mystical aspect of Judaism. Sufism has a wonderful history of spirituality, especially presented in its most notable poet, Rumi, who many of you have read. Here's the story. The story tells of the creating angels convening at the dawn of time to discuss where to bury the meaning of life, a secret so sacred that only those really worthy of human growth and development would be able to access it. One angel said, we should put it at the bottom of the ocean. Good idea. The second angel said, no, we should put it on the highest mountain peak. Another good idea. Eventually, they turned to the wisest angel and asked where the most secret place might be in all of life. The wisest angel replied, there is one place no one will ever look. We will hide it in the human heart. One place that no one will ever look. We'll hide it within them. Oh, absolutely true. For centuries, people have sought the meaning of life, the holy grail of life. And for centuries, they've been seeking it in the wrong places. They've been seeking it outside of themselves, rather than looking within. You who have been studying our spiritual teachings, understand this teaching better than most, because you now know that we were playing the game of separation, having dimmed our own light, so that we would look outside of ourselves to find the meaning of life, truly the impossible dream. This plan worked perfectly because we then began to look outside of ourselves. And the more we did so, the more lost we became, the more separated from our God source we were, until the stress, say it again, until the stress of such a useless search became too much for us to bear. Eventually, the search to find meaning outside of ourselves was too painful. Again, another great design in the overall plan of separation to finally bring us back to realignment. Fast forward now to the early decades of the 20th century. This is really important. Please listen closely. There was a brilliant Hungarian physician in the 1930s by the name of Hans Selye, who gave, perhaps unwittingly, a twist to the game of separation. Listen closely. Selye was the physician who coined for us the word stress, a word that we have come to know quite well over the past 90 years. How many times have you said or heard another person say they are stressed? In fact, that they are stressed out, hardly able to function, if at all. We've all heard it a million times. I'm so stressed. There's just too much stress in my life. The genius of Dr. Selye was that he was able to recognize stress as the basis for many physical ailments. Let me say it again. Please listen closely. The genius of Dr. Selye was that he was able to recognize stress as the basis for many physical ailments. The ailments could be everyday aches and pains, digestive upsets such as colitis or ulcers, or rashes and fevers and colds. Dr. Selye simply said that when there is enough environmental pressure, whether it be mental, emotional, or physical, the pressure produces stress, which causes the ailments. Quite an observation, and quite truthful. I suggest to you that that is exactly what happened when we played the game of separation. Again, listen well, digest this. To play the game of separation, we dimmed our inner light. What happened? Because we dimmed our inner light, we didn't have enough awareness energy to ward off the environmental pressures of life. In a word, we got stressed out because we had dimmed our light and couldn't handle the pressures that developed that caused so many of our ailments, from coughs and colds to the big three of illness, aging, and death. It is stress, the inability to handle the pressures of our environment, that is the real villain in the game of separation. Need to hear this, digest it. It is stress, the inability to handle the pressures of our environment that is the villain in the game of separation. For us who have been spiritually inclined, the next logical question is it's not how to deal with stress. We've all gone to enough workshops and seminars that address the topic. The workshops, while helpful for some, eventually were unsuccessful for the vast majority because they would simply then revert back to the conditions of their environment caused by the game of separation, which then produced more stress. Because we had dimmed our inner light, stress, due to the inability to handle the conditions of our lives, was the result. Very important for us to understand this. I am suggesting a direct relationship between separation and stress. Or as the Buddha said in his first noble truth, the human condition is filled with suffering, with ailments caused by stress. And stress itself, of course, was caused by the game of separation when we dimmed our lights. Thus, the real question of dealing with stress was not how to deal with it, but rather how to reverse it, how to get beyond it, how to move forward. How do you reverse the conditions of separation that gave rise to stress? How do you reverse stress? And in the process, to reverse the process of separation? That's really the question. The responses can be summed up well in another physician by the name of Herbert Benson, who lived from 1935 to 2022. While he did not get engaged in the game of separation energy, he suggested a simple but powerful solution on how to reverse stress that will serve as a basis for the three practical things I'm going to say a little later on for living consciously. In a nutshell, this is what Dr. Benson said. Your mind is medicinal. Your mind is medicine to relieve stress. If stress was caused by the mind could be the medicine to release it. Thus, he recommended the following practice, which he called simply the relaxation response. The relaxation response was to take 20 minutes a day to focus on positive affirmations, inspiring beliefs, or just simple muscle relaxation. I bring up Benson's response because I truly believe that he correctly saw that the pill for stress is not a tablet, but rather the pill for stress is a series, listen closely now, it's a series of non-physical interventions. Non-physical interventions such as yoga, mindfulness, meditation, and spiritual camaraderie. He clearly understood that stress caused so many diseases and could be overcome by non-physical interventions by non-physical interventions, which I would now suggest to you is, first of all, really ending the game of separation, and then giving you 3 practical aspects of raising our inner light to overcome, reverse the stresses of separation. Again, please listen. First of all, you now know that you have ended the game of separation. You now know that you are no longer in the clutches of fear and doubt. And you now know that you have the tools of advancement in your spirituality. You have the tools such as meditation, a go-to phrase, energetic exercises, the 10 daily habits of enlightened living. You now have the tools of ending stress. So what I want to now share with you is to focus on the 3 advanced tools of raising our inner light. Notice I mentioned 3 advanced tools of raising your inner light. The first one. For the first advanced tool, I searched and searched for the right word to express it. It took me a while to find that word, but I think I have it. The word is incubate. Incubate. Well, the word incubate can have several applications. This is the way I want to use it. That the first advanced tool is to incubate the feeling of love within your heart. The first advanced tool is to incubate. Sit with. The feeling of love within your heart. To allow this feeling of love to become the feeling that is the foundation of your spiritual consciousness. That this incubated feeling of love is how you now address life. That this incubated feeling of love is the way you want to be, calling to mind the words of Jesus, teach only love, for that is what you are. You can't just hear it in your mind. You have to incubate the feeling. That you now realize that God is love, and so are you. So are you. So are you. And that the person who abides in love abides in God, and God in that person. You have become that person in which the God of loving energy abides. You are now abiding in love as your lifestyle. It takes time to incubate this feeling. You have to sit with it. This living presence, now incubated and coming forth, is exactly what you have come to understand as to who you are, what you want to be. You just want to love everyone. Regardless of where anyone else is, you know where you are. You have incubated the feeling of love. And it is now the way you express life. The second tool. The second advanced tool Now that you have incubated the feeling of love, it logically follows that you have become devoted to love. Devotion, the second advanced tool. This sense of devotion became quite evident recently when one of our members attended a traditional prayer service. As the service progressed, it was apparent that these words were going to be expressed. Pray for us sinners. As these words were ready to be spoken, our member simply said, she just couldn't say the words. She just couldn't say the word sinners. The word sinner is the leftover word from the game of separation, and hopefully someday will fall out of our dictionary. Our member could no longer say the word because she had incubated the feeling of love and had now become devoted to its expression. This devotion to love is quite a change. Do you not clearly see that such a devotion takes the word of love out of your mind and places it in your heart space, where the Sufi wisest angel hid it? This devotion to love is a feeling, but a feeling that has intelligence and appropriateness attached to it. It is not Pollyannish. It is not doormatish, but rather this devotion to love is really summed up in a phrase we sometimes say, alluding to kindness, kindness being the highest form of intelligence. We would probably say love is the greatest expression of life. Which now brings us to the third advanced tool. Because you have incubated the feeling of love in your devotion to express it, you now have a light within you. You now have a light within you, which at present the world is not able to see, but you can. You now have a light within you that the world is not able to give, but you can. Let's frame this advanced light of yours in terms of artificial intelligence and real intelligence, between artificial intelligence and free will intelligence. In a nutshell, artificial intelligence, which is to be truly valued for what it can offer to the quality of human life, comes from the mind, from the left brain of the mind. Again, to be valued for what it is able to bring to humanity's betterment. However, real intelligence, free intelligence, comes from the right brain and is connected to the God Spirit through your soul spirit. Say that again. Real intelligence, free intelligence, comes from the right brain, connected to the God Spirit from your soul spirit. Those Sufi angels were right on target. Such a direct path from your soul spirit to the mind of God. You have that direct path from your soul spirit to the mind of God, comes to you by way of personal intuitions. It's personal. It's direct. It's intuitive. It does not depend on the programmed, artificial intelligence that is first given directly to you, so that you might establish programs of artificial intelligence, that this direct connection to the God Spirit comes directly to you, giving you the guidance that you need, desire, and want in life. In difficult, challenging moments, your true intelligence, your free intelligence, the voice of God within you, tells you you don't have to put up with an apparent problem, but rather you can choose again and move beyond any seeming difficulty, that you don't have to remain in a low energy place. And in happier moments, that you realize that love and kindness are contagious. This is you coming forth. You simply do not need an artificial intelligence to know what you already know with your God Spirit intelligence. You don't need an artificial intelligence to know what you already know from your God Spirit intelligence. Please remember that you have that inner light that illumines what the world cannot see. Never doubt the quality of your God-given intelligence, the Holy Spirit, the Christ within you. Do not be intimidated by an artificial mind when you already possess the mind of God. Don't be intimidated by something artificial. You have the real thing, the mind of God, consciously aware within you. In conclusion, you have found the mind of God within you, and you have the tools to access it. The mind of God is no longer hidden. It simply awaits for you to incubate it. In a world that is often mesmerized by artificial things, from sweeteners to intelligence, you know the real thing, the essential truth in life. You have the light that the world cannot give you. We have the light that illumines our lives and gives a great joy and direction to our daily living. May we together follow the wonderful words that Jesus was described with when his apostles said, and then he affirmed with them, that not only did he go about doing good, but then Jesus said, may your light so shine before others that they might see your good deeds and give glory to our Heavenly Father. That's what we are embracing. That which was hidden has now been found. It is the reality of our loving presence within. We truly progress. We truly possess the holy grail of life right within us, where it has always been. We know this. Let me now take you into meditation, and a joy it is for me to do so. Let's begin as we normally do, by again just focusing on the breath, just breathing in and breathing out, and allowing that breath just to fill you with its glory, fill you with its energy. Please begin. Don't you feel pretty juiced up right now? Jazzed up? You should. You know the antidote to stress. Stress has been the real villain, the practical everyday villain in the game of separation. How many times did you say it or have heard others say it? I'm so stressed. Has it not been the cause of many of your ailments? Your natural immunities broke down because of fear and guilt and shame and worry. You played the game of separation perfectly. We all did. Now's the time to get over it. Get over it because you have the tools to reverse the process. It took me a while to find that word. I thought about the notion of you have to feel that love. You have to absorb that love. But when the word incubate came, ah, just as a hen sitting on her eggs, you have to sit within that presence in your heart. It starts there in your heart. You have to incubate the feeling of love. and then become devoted to its expression. I sincerely believe the truest words that Jesus spoke to us, especially here in the 21st century now. Teach only love, for that is what you want. This is our conscious identity to which we are devoted. Notice how you feel right at this moment. This should be a clear clue to your identity. Teach only love, for that is what you are. In this joyful energy, let me invite you now to return back to the rhythm of your breathing and allow that joyful breath just to come into you, exhilarating you as the life force. Again, just notice how good you feel. That's the truth. Notice how good you feel. And in that goodness, let me invite you to gently breathe your eyes open. It will not be hard to smile at this time. Those Sufi angels were pretty clever. We found it. We found it. Now, irreversibly. Now simply to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.